One and two and a...
That's right. It is Sunday, which means it's a brand new live stream right here on Longbox Punk. That's me. I'm Chris, and I'm joined not just by one, but by two fantastic creators. We've got Frank over here next to me. We got Gerald down below. Collectively, they are Third Contact Comics, and they are here to talk about a super long-titled comic, Love and Death on the Dark Side of the Moon. Gentlemen, thanks for making time in what is just a chaotic and crazy season for you. I appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Thank you. I like the theme music. I want that in the back.
I know Frank. I came on. I saw Frank was bopping out.
Listen, Weston Miller. All props go to Weston Miller and Chris Albright for making that coordination happen with Rolling Squid Bones. So my thanks to both of them. I actually have a link for Weston in the comments or in the description. You can go to his Facebook page. He owns a local lore apparel shop that is based out of Texas, and so you can buy some apparel from him, support him and all of his music. He's also a pro wrestler. Like, dude does everything, and
he's astronauts.
You know, yeah.
He invented bubble tea.
Yeah, Weston's a man of many trades. But yes, I love that song. I will continue to jam it forever now that I have it, especially the bass groove. Like, that's what gets me.
Boom, 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 boom.
Super good stuff. So, but yeah, thanks for calling that out, because I don't think I've had a chance in a while to mention Weston. So thanks, Weston. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Weston. You're the man, Weston. Go back to space.
Go back to space. And while you're there, maybe go to the dark side of the moon and find some love.
Now that's a segue. Let me tell you.
Strap in.
Unplanned, unscripted. We're firing on all cylinders tonight. You can feel it.
Off the cuff. We're ready to go. Coming off of a fun. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least shamelessly plug. I just celebrated my 11th wedding anniversary yesterday. Had a great day with the wife, you know? We hung out. I bought some. Thank you. I bought a tackle box for use at my first comic convention appearance, which I scheduled last night as well. So I'm jazzed. I got all of the energy right now, and you
got all the things.
So many things are happening right now. But I don't need to talk about my things. I want to talk about your things first. Joe, because you've been here a couple of times, I'm gonna bypass you a little bit, and I want to go to Frank with, like, what's your origin story, Frank? Like, how did you get into comics? Where did all this start? And then where did Gerald just dive bomb into your life?
I've always liked writing. I remember, in elementary school, all the teachers give writing assignments to the kids and everybody's supposed to do it. And I kept doing it on my own. I just enjoyed the prospect of creating stories. And I got sucked into that whole Ultimate Comics gimmick in the 2000s. That was my gateway drug into comics. And from there, it was just Marvel and DC, and I enjoyed reading them all. And I never really wrote comics. I never really thought about writing comics. I was always continued writing stories and fan fiction and novels. And at some point, I tried to put the two together. It was about 10 years ago now. And I'm like, I could do this. And 10 years, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. But my journey has led me to partnering with Gerald, and we've creating some cool books.
That's awesome. Yeah. And speaking of Gerald, for those that might not know, what about you? Where did comics come from? Where did the artistic side of things come from for you?
Always. I mean, there's always been there. I think I was kind of lucky. My uncle actually, everybody in my family is kind of very working class, very they had relocated, from Brooklyn and kind of came up to the country in New York and really became very country very quickly. But my uncle, he's not that much older than me. He was an artist, and he was still in high school. And when I was over, my grandmother's house, the walls were just filled with cartoons that he was like engraving into wood and hand painting. And I was always so fascinated. And I was reading comics already. I can't remember a time I wasn't reading comics. They've just been part of my life. I grew up in a time where comics were available everywhere. They weren't locked away in the cool kids nerdy basements, like they weren't even probably like collector's items, really. I mean, they were fun. So they were everywhere. And I think around 7, I was in a terrible bike accident, and I was like in a coma for 48 hours.
Jeez.
And when I came, so I couldn't go to school for a while, and my uncle just gave me some art supplies and said, "Well, why don't you just draw?" And I said, and I drew, I'll never forget, I drew Donald and Daisy Duck as vampires. And I don't know why. Because I loved cartoons, but I love the darker side of cartoons always.
Yeah.
Like my favorite, like Disney villains, Disney characters are always the villains.
Yeah, that tracks. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so that I never stopped. I just kept drawing more. My friends were doing cool things over the summer. I was going to art camp. Terry Austin was a very brief mentor of mine when I was still in high school. And the only time I stopped was I got more into fine art and theater in my later 20s. And I had forgotten, or I wasn't really old enough or cool enough or mature enough. Like I knew the books. I knew Dave McKean. I knew Bill Sienkiewicz. I knew there was this side of comic creation that was very artistic, very experimental, very creative, and in the mainstream. I mean, that's always happened in indie comics, but like Dave McKean and Bill Sienkiewicz, and there's so many other names. They were doing stuff that nobody was doing. Frank Miller, too. These were mainstream comic creators. But I kind of like saw it, and I don't think I was like ready for it. And I stopped making comics for a while and stopped drawing, and because I wanted to make art. And it wasn't really, until a couple of years ago, I was watching a documentary about Bill Sienkiewicz, and I said, what rock have I been fucking hiding under? You can make both at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I just took a chance on a stupid little book called The Moral Coil that I'd been thinking about. And I didn't really know anybody in the community. I think I met Travis Gibb and Joe Schmalke, who was a longtime friend. Rich Dueck, who I've known for years, is a comic writer. And I just did it. And I'm not going to get into how I met Frank. Frank and I just, Frank was already embedded into a community. I kind of like found myself in like a rabbit hole. And I always thought Frank thought he was way too cool for me. And
No,
I didn't.
not all thought, still thinks.
And I didn't measure up. And then we started working on the puzzle pieces of 1,000 Cuts, and then we kind of went back to Mortal Coil. We did a Swamp Thing short, and it's just been a stone gathering moss.
One of the things I love working with Gerald is that so many artists I work with, they're comic artists. That's what they focus on. That's what they do. And a lot of times Gerald describes what he does or what he's going to put together as mixed media. And I've always found that interesting, is that he comes at his art not just strictly from a comic approach. He's doing all sorts of different stuff. He's thinking the wider art medium of what he can create visually, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something to be said. There's a couple artists that I've talked to within the comic realm that you can tell, like, I want to be a comic artist. That's what I do. And then you talk to people that are like, well, I started as an artist and I just, liked painting or sculpting or whatever in high school or college or beyond or before or whatever. And like, then I just kind of smashed that into the comics medium. And I like, it's such a unique separation to think of, because growing up I was just like, oh well, comic people make comic books, right? Like that's what it is. And then now that I'm talking to people, it's like, no, artists make comics, and like creators, and like everybody can do the thing. It just takes different forms. And like, I gotta say, like, I'm just unashamedly, like, I'm just a fan of what you're doing, Gerald. So
I think when you start to tear down those walls between medium and art forms, you only make cooler stuff. Yeah. So it doesn't mean you can't stay in one lane and do something traditional, but I think when you start to experiment and explore in story or photography or art or whatever it may be, it's cool. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes it won't. But I think that's kind of the point, right? You just do it. And
well, I'll say this about now Frank and I have been working together. It has to be a minimum year. It has to be. Watching, because we talk about this. We don't talk about it. We only talk about it on podcasts, by the way. Frank and I are just dicks to each other. We're just dicks to each other. No. We just have a lot. We both have families, and we have a lot of projects, and we're talking. It's not business per se, but you know what I mean. Like, we have a lot to talk about in a very short amount of time. But when we get on a podcast, we get a chance to kind of like, when we get asked about our partnership a lot, and I'm always grateful to talk about it, because a lot of time you either just have a writer as a guest, or you just have a artist. And it's not like Frank and I did one project. I mean, look, for example, I sent Frank a text today trying to plan out the next year and a half, 2 years of what we're doing. And Frank's like, sounds good. So we're pretty much booked until, like, I would say definitely until 2028.
Yeah. And the fun thing is that always changes. That's the plan. We hope to accomplish that, but things are always coming up. Things always change.
Sure.
But that's the cool nature, is that this is always a fluid partnership, and we're always growing and evolving and shifting.
But one of the things that I wanted to say real quick was, when I did Immortal Coil #1, I mean, I was the artist and the writer, and I came out as an artist first and writer second. And a lot of people said the second issue just, felt a lot different, because, and I'll tell you right now, the reason that it did is because it had sequential story. And that's something, even if you make art, sure, you can make an indie comic and just get weird, man. You can just go nuts. But even if you look at Dave McKean, some of the crazy stuff that he's done, very experimental stuff, it's still sequential art. And there's something to be said about learning that language, regardless of how you approach what you put on paper, whether you do digital or traditional, or you paint, or you ink, or you pencil. I am trying to be a little more experimental, but trying to stick to sequential. And this is where my partnership with Frank has been very helpful, because when Frank came on to issue 2, I realized very quickly that it can't just be like a film strip in a way. Like, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. Like, it can work when you're just kind of like saying, hey, hi everybody, this is me, this is what I do. And so, but when you want to take the attention away and put it back into the book, into the story, and bring on new fans, and this is where I think Frank and I really started to see the benefit of having a partner who doesn't think the way I do, who can get his hands dirty in the narrative, so I can get my hands dirty in the visual language, if that makes sense. And putting those two together, I'm not saying that we nailed it right away, and I think that we're still a work in progress. I think Frank and I have a lot of comics to tell together, and I think it's just going to get better, because we're starting. Frank said the other day, we're starting to do things because we know the other person's strengths. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I did say that. I said that last night.
And there's something you said about that too, like, because then Frank, as the writer, you can write things that like, oh, Gerald's really good at this thing, and if I write this scene in a way that he can flex that muscle, like it's only going to make it pop more on the page or whatever. And then like vice versa, like you can lean into each other. And Gerald, you mentioned how once Frank was involved, he could get deeper with the narrative and you could get deeper with the art. Is that, does that partnership also like lend itself to giving you more freedom with like, oh, I don't have to worry about that, so I can just do this one?
Well, you think that it should. I just have to get over being a neurotic control freak. But I'm just being honest. I am working on it, because Frank does really good shit. And it's never about other people. I think with the Mortal Coil, that's a tough one. And I've already told Frank with that book, I may take more liberties than I would with any other project that we start from the ground up. Because everything after Immortal Coil and our Swamp Thing fan fiction has been, 1,000 Cuts. Yeah, that now is both of us from the ground up.
Yeah.
It was like maybe started at 90-10 and then it became 50-50, and it's kind of stayed in that 50-50, and story-wise, probably more Frank now than me. I just give a little feedback now here and there. But Love and Death and the Dark Side of the Moon, Frank wanted me to read the script right away, but I wanted to wait because I didn't want to just read, I wanted to see where Frank was going to go with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think all 100 pages were done. I think there was probably like 76. And so by page like 40 or 50, I was in tears, and I wrote him. I'm not lying. Frank can tell you. I said, this might be the best script I have ever read in my life. And I've never felt so emotional from just reading a comic book script, because a lot of times, people will write, maybe if you're Alan Moore, it's different, but most comic writers will just make sure that they've made the blueprint for the artist to follow. Yeah. They know the story they're trying to tell, but they're going to maybe focus on the dialogue or something. But Frank wrote, if I wasn't drawing this, it would make it a great novel. So, and which was great, because I remember I put it down and I just said, well, I got to step up my game, because I want to bring what I do, up. Yeah. So. And in my downtime, I don't have downtime.
I was gonna say, what is that?
When I have time, like I've been doing different formats, different stuff. It's not interiors or covers, experimenting with inks and tools and styles and hatching and splatters and gouache and watercolors, just as because then it helps me when I go into Love and Death, have more of an idea what we could do. Like if Frank has something on the page, I could say, all right, I was just doing this thing the other day. This is going to be cool. And we brought Dave Fowler in, who's the colorist, and which is great because Dave's an artist. He's not a colorist. So, I think, again, it's not about Frank wrote an amazing script, and so the art team is trying to make amazing art. That's it. That's the simple fact of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you said there were only 76. Frank, how quickly do you write? How?
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
I don't know. I get very neurotic, and I do it in pieces. So I'll watch TV at midnight, and I don't have to write the actual script, but I can outline it, so I can break it up into panels,
sure,
or I can break up dialogue that I've kind of wrote earlier in the day. So I kind of view script writing as like a puzzle piece. You know, I kind of write what I can when I can because life is just so chaotic and it's hard to just be that writer. I'm gonna go in my study and close the door and write my script. I don't really have that luxury, so I kind of just write it whenever I can, and then I piece it all together. So, and sometimes that happens fast, especially with this script, because it's just the character. He's such a sympathetic character. You could feel yourself in him, which is because he's got this dark thing about him, but he wants to be a good human being, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. That like we want to be good people, and sometimes we're pulled in this direction that we don't want to go. And because I felt so much of a connection to that character, it just like came out of me. So that's awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to write.
So for those that don't know, give me the, like, what's this story about? Where did it come from? Like what's going on with love and death on the dark side of the moon?
So the story is about in the near future, the sun is dying and they build a research station on the dark side of the moon to get to the bottom of it, to either figure out what's causing it, how to fix it, how to let humans survive in this new world that's going to be coming. And in the midst of all of this, a boy is born at the station, and he has this terrible affliction that whenever sunlight hits him, a dark cloud kind of emanates out of him. And all of these scientists that are working there, they have no idea what's wrong with him. They don't know how to fix him. So they kind of sequester him away. They hide him. They put him in isolation and quarantine. And it's just about his life, you know, how he grows up from a baby to a toddler and adolescent, and then into a man living on the moon, kind of alone by himself, and how he kind of finds connection with other people and deals with this terrible thing that's inside of him and tries to make a life for himself. And it's got so many elements of different things. I mean, it's science fiction, but at the same time, we call it a sci-fairy tale because it's got a sense of wonder and whimsy to it towards the end, and elements of fantasy and horror that Gerald likes to play around with. So it's really, I didn't try to fit it into one genre to say be one thing. I knew the story Gerald wanted to tell, and I just let it go in that direction. Whatever happened. And I think the end result is a great epic tale that I hope people enjoy.
That's awesome. And
I'm pretty much just Frank's chat GPT. So pretty much Frank just types in, what story do I want to write next? And I go, here's an idea.
I kind of feel like I'm your chat GPT. You said I have a prompt.
Oh, yeah, right.
I want to write a story about a serial killing rat. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that.
Got you. So dig into that a little bit more, because I'm curious. I always love having creative teams on, because then I really get to like blow everything up into and examine all the, like, how you work together and how a story comes out of the two of you as separate people, half the year on separate parts of the world. Like, how in the hell do you two write this massive epic that's got like deleted scenes? And I saw the update today of like an add-on where you can get the audio commentary and scripts and lettered pages that were just like cut from the final product. Like, clearly you've got the timeline that's on the page, which is super rad, because I'm a just like extras junkie and I like all of those things. And so like I'm just curious, how in the hell did you go from like 1,000 cuts, which felt like, here's a super badass story, read it, to now this like, okay, take a seat because we're gonna flex a little. Like, how did this come to be?
Well, I think a lot of it is around the time we were already like knee deep in 1,000 cuts. We came up with a practice to make sure that we know what our schedule is, because Frank does books on his own as well.
Yeah.
And I only do really interiors for our books, and other stuff I'm just doing work for hire. But we started writing out a schedule, so we at least we have an idea of what our year looks like, and also because Frank has Grim Space, ton of other books, Macabre Motel, which is a phenomenal book in case anybody wants to check out Frank's horror motel book. The first issue is so good. That's my favorite series of Frank, Macabre Motel. is like the one. It's like one of the books that Frank has, and I'm pissed that I had nothing to do with it. Because I read the first issue and I was like, dude, why am I not drawing this? Fuck you. No, but it's cool because I think because Frank will tell you, and I think all comic writers know that comic writers are faster than artists, and it's just, but that's only because that's the natural law, like the natural law of physics. It's not that a final product can be done, but it's just more time consuming to draw. It's not about being good or better, or they are both equally important to the making and ideation of comics. It's just that the art just takes longer. It's a longer process. But this was a story I think we put on the back burner a little bit. Like this was one that I had in my Dropbox folder, and I was cleaning it out, and it was called The Dark. And it was like kind of like a short a comic that I was gonna do all in black and white about. I used to be in this group called Comics Experience with Andy Schmidt, and that's where I met Rich Dueck and a couple other guys who are still doing comics. And this was one of my stories then. You know, I wanted to do a very DIY, black and white. I was even thinking of using a ballpoint pen, like, and all I had when I read it was just a paragraph about, and I only had the character Nero, what his affliction was, and that he's alone on the dark side of the moon. And I thought about it, and I said, Frank, usually I give Frank about three, I can barely hear myself. What is that? Is that Frank's kids?
I think it's Frank's kids. It's Frank's kids.
I was like, or am I hearing voices again?
Frank's like, I'm out of here. I gotta go.
He's like, bye. So usually I give Frank about a few ideas, but I don't know which one he'll like. I don't tell him we don't tell each other what to do. If we don't want to do it, what the fuck is the point of doing it? We want to have fun. If we're not like excited by an idea or excited about execution or excited about the art, then we don't do it. There's no point. And this was an idea that Frank was like interesting, and that's really it. That's it. That's the end of my job. Yeah. And Frank writes faster, I think, than anybody I know, and he's probably like writing a comic right now. It's probably going to be done by the time this podcast is over.
No, you can't give away my secrets. The thing I like about Gerald is he thinks very visually. So he's like, I have this idea for this story in my head. I think it will be cool if this thing happens. And I'm like, yes, if you drew that, it will look phenomenal and it will look awesome. And I can't wait to see it. But the story that you're telling me, I feel like I've seen a million times before. So
he's talking about a new idea.
No. This has happened multiple times. Don't worry about it. It's happened a couple times. Don't worry. But no, my job is to create a story that's new, that's unique, that's something I've never heard before. And since Gerald just comes out of the blue with things that are so weird, it's not as hard as you think to just pivot something in a different direction and give it a completely different spin that I think I would enjoy writing. And from there, Gerald goes, okay, write that. That's pretty much how.
Yeah, I mean, all I had was, and so same with 1,000 Cuts. I had a character, I had a setting, I had the sword, I had the tagline, but no other characters. And then Frank, 1,000 Cuts, 11 Death and Dark Side of the Moon. We got a book coming out called All the Dead Things. And we'll have more coming out. Then Frank kind of starts the world building,
Yeah.
Other characters like Love and Death and Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, it has definitely become both of ours. I feel very attached to Nero, but Frank, Celine, her father, Nero's parents, this all comes from Frank, giving this, like taking kind of like a container and like putting shit in it, like so that it feels full.
Yeah.
So that it isn't, because what is a world? It's not just a setting, it's not just a place, and if we're humans reading a book made by humans, it's best to write a story that has that human tale, that human connection.
Yeah.
And so that's what Frank, sort of takes that like a seed and he makes a tree.
I would best describe it as like a reverse Mad Lib. Like Gerald would give me the words, and then I would write the story that includes all those words.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds about right.
And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I enjoy the puzzle piece of writing. So with Gerald, it's one huge puzzle, especially with our project, All the Dead Things. He pitched me that, and I kind of gave the same pitch to my wife, and she looked at me like I had a stroke. Like, what are you saying right now? Like, this is incomprehensible. And I said, I know, it's great, right? So
I like a challenge.
Yeah, and I think that story, I can't wait to. I'm just still scripting it, so that's the difficult thing. It's like he said, it takes so long to make the art for these books. And I'm like, I'm writing it now, but I can't see it for a year from now.
Yeah.
So but I'm having a blast. It's a good time.
So as the writer, like, how do you manage? Gerald was like, I'm out. How do you manage like writing something now that you won't see until 2027 potentially? Like, how, with all the scheduling and forecasting, getting that stuff in line, like, how do you balance the, I don't know, excitement of seeing it versus the, like, do you want to always go back and like pick a little bit more at the scab of the script of like, nah, I would want to rewrite stuff over and over and over and over and over to the point then where it's like, that's a completely different story now.
I just go into the next thing. I try not to think about
Got
it. And but it's the good thing and the bad thing is that I open my computer folder sometimes and I have so many scripts that probably will never get drawn simply because I can't stop writing. Like, I just want to keep writing more. And I tell Gerald, I'm like, I need to write the next thing. You need to approve this outline that I sent you. Otherwise, I'll go in writing a short story or work on a novel or write a completely different script. And I never want to be stagnant. I never want to sit and just never have something that I'm working on. And yes, it does suck when you write a comic and it's going to be made, but it's going to be made so far in the future. What do? You distract yourself by writing something different that it will take another year to get made.
Yeah, you're just always burying yourself in more waiting for
kind of. But I think that's the secret, right? Just you do it so many times, you do it so often that's how you get better at it. And it's the same thing with anything. I mean, how do basketball players become phenomenal shooters? Because they just practice shooting all the friggin' time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's what you make isn't great, but it doesn't matter. Just put your head down, move on to the next.
Yeah. So do you, because now you've just got me, and I'm way more of a writer than an artist. Did you like take classes on writing, or are you taking like the school of the world and what you're reading and learn from books that you enjoy and then take things that they do to try and implement into your own writing?
A little of both. I've taken writing classes. Not really. I would say I've taken a couple. And I'm not going to say they're not helpful because they are, but I think there's no real practice or learning than just doing, reading as much as you can, experience as much as you can, stories, get out into the world too, because you need to have experiences. You need to know what things are like in order to write about them.
Yeah.
But it's just all, you got to just absorb it all and then just put it out and then just keep absorbing more and just, it's like, I always find that, what's her name? Dory in Finding Nemo, where she's like, just keep swimming. It's just keep writing, just keep writing, just keep writing. And I think if you write enough stuff, 90% of it could stink, but if you do 1%, that's a masterpiece. I mean, that's fine.
Worth it. Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
That one dunk is the Michael Jordan from the foul line perfect shot that should be hung in the Louvre, and I'm not even a basketball fan. You're
there
right.
are so many books that are like absolutely phenomenal, and they're American classics, and we always associate them with the one that one particular writer, and then you never realize that he has a whole pantheon of books that he's written and nobody knows about. So it's just
Well, I'll say this about comics though, because I think writers can get away with write it and be done with it, because you are the first line in creativity. That comic is about to go through a whole series of trials. Not trials. Then you're going to have the penciler, the inker, the colorist, and maybe an editor. Well, the editor should come well before that, but also as the art goes by too.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, but that's also the beauty of comics, and I think that obviously the writing has to be great, or an artist isn't inspired. I can tell you that right now, and I know it from firsthand experience. I'm not talking about Frank. But yeah, let me say this though, real quick. Having worked with Frank long enough, and I think that we can do this to each other now, is if Frank does write something, and I think it's not up to the Frank code, I tell him. But listen, I'm not an asshole. I mean, I literally say, Frank, I know you, and I know you can do better. And I would expect the same. Hey, listen, good panel. I'll give you an example. The first page of Love and Death and Dark Side of the Moon is a splash page. And Frank didn't give me a whole lot of direction, because this is our third and a half project together. This is what's going on. He's got the caption boxes. Go at it. And I drew, a handful of iterations of what Nero looks like in full. That's not even full. And when Frank said Carnage, I said, yeah, this sucks. This is not at all what I'm going. He was being kind. And I kept drawing it over and over. And one was too weird. And he was honest with me. And so, but it's not like the whole thing. It's just like, if we're going along, and I know Frank doesn't say anything, we're good. But we've come to that point, there's only a couple times is be like, I don't think this page is up to your own code. Your own quality.
Yeah, the thing about the projects that Gerald and I work on, when I do my series Grimspace and I bring artists on to draw those books, it's really me. So I'm really doing a project management, and I'm looking at the panels, and I'm seeing how things can be, and I'm putting the book out. So when people are talking to me about how it looks, it's kind of my baby. But when I work with stuff with Gerald, it's both of ours. So when we critique each other or we give each other feedback, it's because look, we're both connected to this. We're both gonna try to make the best product possible. So that honesty needs to be there, because otherwise, if you just let something slide or let it slide and go under the rug, the whole project suffers from it. So,
and we're both from New York, so sometimes on the phone, we just had a meeting about the editing, and I would think if anybody walked in the room, they'd be like, "What is wrong with these people?" Oh, that's my friend Frank. That's your friend?
Yeah, I mean, there's something
we're from New York. Come on. This is how we roll.
There's so I had just mentioned something like this actually to my wife earlier. There's a difference between being direct and constructive and just being an asshole. You can tell someone directly, "Hey, I want you to do this thing, please," or you can be a dick. "Are you going to do this thing or not?" They're different. And having been in working in different industries, because I change jobs every 5 years at this point is my kind of timeline. I've worked in a lot of different industries, and it doesn't always I'm a direct person. I need you to be direct with me. If I'm not doing something well, tell me, and I'll change. I'll juke instead of driving or whatever, and I'll adapt. But if you don't tell me because you're worried that you're going to upset me, I'm an adult, just tell me, please. And so
Right.
it feels like there's a lot of times, especially with creatives, when I was working in more of a creative space, creating experiences, I was the executor. So I was the one that had to like make the thing work, that the creatives sat in a room drinking coffee, like, let's do this big, magnificent thing with all of this stuff. And it's like, back that off like 80%. And that's what we can actually do realistically. But like, you have to be careful because as a creative, we're very attached to our ideas. So I understand and appreciate the like relational aspect of being able to be direct with each other. Like, hey, I don't think this is your best work. Like, that's the dream. Does it make, now that you've got this established relationship and you've got this schedule that runs for the next 74 years, like, how do you approach now working with other creatives on projects or projects for hire or your own book, Frank? Or like, how do you approach that different? Like, do you have to completely like take a step outside of Third Contact and be like, okay, completely different project. It's not Gerald or Frank that I'm working with. I'm working with Bill now. So Bill, well, like, how does that
I think it's probably easier for Frank than it is for me.
It's not difficult. I've been jumping around between so many different projects, working with so many different writers for so long. I enjoy it. I enjoy the shuffle and jiving of having all these projects. I'm writing a script while getting art, while doing lettering. It's shifting those gears is easy for me. I like being engaged. I don't like sitting back. So I mean, I don't want to speak for Gerald, but it's not that I like talking to Gerald because I haven't had a relationship with an artist like that before where I can, whenever I critique Gerald or I want to give him feedback, I never say like, this could be better. I always have a reasoning behind what I'm saying. And I'm always approaching it from a narrative perspective. I be like, you made an artistic choice and I'm just letting you know that choice changes this character a little bit or this plot or this story. So I'm giving, and if he says, okay, I see what you're talking about, but I still like it this way, I'm like, fine.
Well, I'll give you some behind the scenes, and I don't have anything to share my screen. So when Frank sends me writes a script now, and he knows I'm drawing it, he only gives what any comic book writer would do for the script. Establish you know where you are, what time it is, whatever. There's dialogue, the story's moving along. But there's tons of times, multiple pages where he's like, go nuts. That might be a no. Like, go nuts.
Just be Gerald. Just be Gerald.
or Frank will write, you get what I'm saying here. It doesn't matter like how many panels, but this is what's happening. This panel, not that I was like, this panel is so important. But some pages are very loose because he knows these are very visual pages. And then the next page might be very dialogue heavy, and it's very clear, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, so on and so on. Oh, and then there's a double page spread, and Frank's like, this is what's happening, but there's no direction like draw it from behind point of view, draw it from above point of view, draw the earth, draw the sun, draw the moon. And if Frank did that, I always try. I want to adhere to what's written. But if I have another go in me on something else, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that shot. And I would say that has worked out fine. And I think that again, relationships take time to build, whether they're creative partnerships, your spouse or whatever. You get to know each other's rhythms, how you dance, how not to be an asshole, how not to be a coward either, because this isn't like, I don't really have any of the like Frank doesn't tell me how to draw covers. I don't tell him how to write a script.
Yeah.
But when the story is going along, I just like to give my feedback, but I'll never do it because I think I know better. It's because of what Frank just said it about the art. It's the same about the writing. Like there's a scene in Love and Death, and I was like, the only notes I have are, I would love to see the page, another page after that. And what do you think? And it'll be like, what do you think about switching that up a tiny bit? Not because I know better, it's because of what he already wrote. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My favorite times are when a lot of times Gerald will have visions of a story that he wants to write, like particular scenes or things that happen.
Sure.
And he'll describe it to me because I know he sees it in his head already and he wants to draw it. So I'll just write, draw that thing you told me about. And it's super easy. I don't have to write. I'm like, you know what this is. Just do it.
Yeah.
But it is harder when I do work for hire projects because I'm work for hire. It's not. I'm not 50% invested into it. You know, I shouldn't say that. I'm 100% invested in everything I do. But I don't. But it's not. I don't have. Once I'm done, I'm done. It's gone. It's not my thing. I want to make them happy. I want to do my best. It's a sandbox maybe I haven't played in before. I try not to take any jobs that I feel just eat my soul. So, you know, and I don't do many interiors. I don't have a lot of time, so I kind of stick to covers and save my interior sort of mojo for our book, mine and Frank's books.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of your books, I want to go into a little bit, like, I don't think I've ever seen a Kickstarter doing what you're doing with Love and Death, where you've got the hardcover, softcover. It's a full graphic novel, 100 pages that you can do hardcover, softcover, manga size, which I'm a sucker for. So I was like, well, that's mine. But then you're also converting all of the panels into a web comic format, like the vertical scroller. What in the hell got in your ass to make you want to do all of these things? Like, what?
It's one book, one comic, one web series, one Kickstarter. That's my commercial.
I think, like, if I back a book and somebody says, you'll get the digital copy and it's a graphic novel, I'll be like, great. And it's a PDF of 100 pages. I mean, it's tough to read, you know? And there's a reason, like, on Comixology, or I haven't followed the drama, I don't know what's left, but they do panels to panels. You know, they're trying to make it a more immersive experience. That was the concept behind this, is we just didn't want to drop a PDF in somebody's inbox. We wanted to do something different, make it more of a flowing story that they can read, and also bring them in on the process so that they can see as we're working on it, they're getting it delivered and they're not going to forget about us. And so I think that was the mindset behind it.
And it's very practical, Frank saying, but at the same time, there is forethought, and the forethought is Frank on his own, and I came into the scene making single issues. And I can tell you, as a creative, it can get kind of rote, kind of like like it's the same thing, and or we're doing another horror book. Which, look, I love all of it, but it felt like and I did tell Frank I wanted to do something different, and I really want to do something different. Like when we started talking about doing a self-contained story, and I said, what if we do this? Up until the book is 100% complete, colored and lettered and everything, for those who are interested, because not everybody will be, is break it into monthly episodes.
Yeah.
So basically 10 pages go to Dave colors them, they go get lettered, they get uploaded. And Metal Ninja Studios is making these verticals. Now, if nobody knows, when you make verticals, you cannot just take a PDF and cut it up. You are technically making a whole new book based on the content that you have, but the lettering is not the same, the layout is not the same, the flow is not the same. So you could really fuck it up.
Yeah.
And it was an experiment, but it's on the Kickstarter page. I have it up on Webtoon as a preview, trying to see if people are getting any eyeballs on it. This is the first story we've done together that I thought had potential for a wider reaching audience. So why limit it to 24-page single issue comic? Why not give the potential, because it just has that story potential. It's not A Thousand Cuts. It's not a Mortal Hill. It's not a Macabre Hotel. It's something different, and it has its elements of darkness and cosmic horror, but it also has its elements of young, unrequited romantic love in the vacuum of space. It has isolation. It has redemption. It has betrayal, and it has resolution. It just has all these things. I think this is the first book that Frank and I have done. We don't have one swear word in it. So technically, this is a book you could read with your 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And so why not offer it in every single possible way we can for those who don't read single issues? They want their stories this way, and this group wants their stories that way. But you're getting the same story without losing the potential to reach new people, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's meeting readers where they are, not making readers find you where you are. I just think it's such an insanely unique approach. When you were first talking about doing this with all the formats, and I was like, how in the world are you going to pull that off? Like, I can't even picture. I hear what you're saying. I understand your words, but I don't understand how you're going to
listen. We already are pulling it off. And I will say this about Joel Rodriguez and his team at Metal Ninja Studios. I was waiting with bated breath on what those verticals might look like. I didn't give many notes. I just said, well, look, it's like if Frank gives me the script, he's going to have to trust that I'm going to do it justice. And if I give it to Dave, I have to have trust that he's going to do it justice. And then when we send it off to the letter, Christian, you're always trusting the next level.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't meet your expectations, you can drop it. No one's forcing anybody to do any of this. This is, we're not even getting paid to do this. You know what I mean? Like, this is our love, and we want it. But I will say this: when Joel sent back the verticals, they were phenomenal. They were really great, like just really great. And I said, I told Frank, like, it's gonna work because it works. He did it. Like, I couldn't have done that. Yeah. And Frank and I alone couldn't have done that. So when it's like, okay, so it's just about having a good team and trusting and experimenting and being able to say, if it's not working, drop it. And if it works, cool.
Yeah. Frank, has this whole process made you think differently about, like, did it impact how you wrote, knowing that it was going in every format?
No.
Perfect.
I am a big Alan Moore fan, and he writes art. Like, when I read his books, I'm like, this is phenomenal. He writes full-length, huge graphic novels, and I've always wanted to write a story like that you could just, you get ready for bed, you brush your teeth, you get your jammies on, you jump in bed, you put your little nightlight on, and you just read the comic. Like, that's how I imagine this story being, one full edition that somebody reads beginning to end right before going to sleep. And that's the image that I had in my head. So when Gerald was saying we're going to do all these different formats, I was like, okay, well, we just got to look for natural stopping points in the story that makes sense for the chapters. And we could put it in the manga edition because it's a longer story. And if somebody wants to read it on the go, they can. But I feel like if I'm trying to, like, touch all these boxes and make it all work, it was going to make the story fall flat. So I really honed in on the graphic novel, cover to cover, self-contained story about this one guy's journey. And I try not to get too distracted with all the other stuff that we were doing. Make it work afterwards. What do they say in film? We'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post. Absolutely. That's why part of why I only ever do live streams, because I don't want to have to worry about having to do any of the fixing work. I just, it is what it is, whatever. But so, like, speaking though, like, is there is there like an add-on or a reward tier that both of you are like real excited about, or like, man, I want everybody to do this?
I already know what Frank's is, because I already know what Frank's favorite one is, because you listen, and it's cool, and I really want Frank, I want everybody to be celebrated who makes comics, and so Frank's got some cool shit. He's got some really cool shit that you don't normally see on a Kickstarter. He can tell you about it.
What are you talking about? You talking about my books or the? I was talking about
Love and Death.
No. He was talking about the update that I just sent. I was spotlighting one of the add-ons, which is the deleted scenes bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know Frank's excited about that.
Yeah. Because you know what it is? I had all these visions in my mind of these cool scenes that I wanted to write. And I'm like, where can I put it in the story? And it just never worked. Or I wanted to showcase other sides of characters that are side characters that you couldn't really, it would be weird just to jump and show this one scene with them. And I wanted to expand it. Like, if you read the story and you really love it and you love the characters and you want to know more, I remember being a kid and going to the special features and seeing all the deleted scenes, the alternate endings, like all that stuff. I ate it up. And I wanted to, because there's so much content for the story, I wanted to find a way to utilize all this stuff that was just left on the cutting room floor. So I was like, Gerald, what if we just put together like a deleted scenes bundle or a behind the scenes bundle that includes all this stuff that I wanted to write that we couldn't get to, and also do an audio commentary for this 100-page massive epic that we've done. And so I'm excited to kind of like, if somebody's really into it and really loves it and wants to go that extra mile learning more about it, that's what that add-on is for.
That's cool. What about you, Gerald?
I would say for this one, because I never offered it before because I didn't feel comfortable. And so I've been doing these trading cards by hand. And I never worked that small before. And I mean, I spent 2 weeks, I had to buy like 5 more of these because I like threw them all out in the garbage. So I was like, crap. This is garbage. I quit. I'm a hack. Fuck this. And, I was at Baltimore Comic-Con, and one of the things I was asked to do was do sketch cards for 2 days. I didn't say no. I just ignored it, pretend that didn't exist. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then I think it was like on the 3rd day, I said, fine, I'll do a couple because it was the last thing anyway. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, maybe I found it was the tools I was using. And I'm not going to get into like Frank nerds out about deleted scenes. I'm nerding out. I went out to the art store and I just bought like 5 new pens, and I'm so fucking excited.
Can't wait to break into my new crayon box.
Yeah, nice, Frank. I hope that nerds like my audio.
It's got a sharpener and anything. Make 72 colors.
Everybody to read my page. It never made it out of my typewriter.
I write so much. Everybody wants to read it.
No, I mean, everybody's talked a lot. I'm always experimenting with artist tools. I don't, like coming back into comic art and having a studio space finally in New York, like coming back to watercolor, coming back to charcoal, trying out some thickness of microns. Like some people some people are really good with a marker. I've come to find out I suck. I'm not good with a marker. Some people are really good with a 2B pencil. I'm better with a 2H pencil. Some people are really good with a 1 point mechanical pen. I'm better with a 0.3. So I found out that I'm just much better with softer pencils. I'm much better with thinner points. I'm much better with watercolor and ink wash than I am with acrylics and gouache. So these are things you kind of like find out. And so when I started doing sketch cards again, I was like, oh, and I don't know, I started messing with some hatching that I never really tried before. I was like, I kind of got known for inking really heavy dark blacks. And I probably always will for interiors, but I don't know. Anyway, so I was on a Whatnot show, and this guy who hosted it said, "Oh, and he's offering sketch cards," and I was like, "I am." And so, there was 4 because I had a Batman on my desk and the camera was on my desk and I was experimenting with the Batman, but it was just going to probably go to my 7-year-old. But the guy wanted to buy it. And he's like, "Oh, I want to buy that one. And can you do a villain?" So I was like, "Oh my God, guess I'm doing sketch cards." But it's been actually a blast. It's all I've done all week besides packaging books. I have other work, prints and interiors, but when I just stopped painting and just started doing sketch cards. And so I'm excited for that one because I feel like I was up for the challenge. Now I really like it. I want to do more. I want to do hundreds of them because they are tiny. They are 2.5 by 3.5.
Yeah.
And I think they're cheap, but I would love to get one as a backer.
Yeah.
Like a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork that I can afford.
Yep. That's why I backed it.
Like I know people can't just say, "Oh, I want the original art." Oh, $500 to $1,000, that's a lot. Or a $200 to $300 painted commission, that can be a lot. But $20 sketch card, full color. And you get this thing, it's only for you.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite add-on. I like personalized stuff. I like stuff it's never gonna be made again.
Yeah. So Frank, why aren't you writing personalized haiku for people? Why isn't that that are all space themed? Why isn't that an add-on?
Who said he's not?
I have offered short story commission tiers in the past, and I've had a couple people, pick them up, want me to write shorts. It's always cool because I've had some people that want like something personalized for them, and then some people are like, I don't care what you write, I just wanted to support you. Go ahead, write whatever story you want for me. And it's a good opportunity because I use that as a way to expand the universe for my existing titles. So I say, okay, you back this campaign, I'm going to write a short story about this universe. And then it's just extra content that for fans of the story and the characters can get more of. So it's always cool that when I go that route. But yeah, I'm jealous of artists. I have a dream of bringing a typewriter to cons. And just like typing on it and then have people come by like, well, you want a story? I can do it for you,
Click, clack, clack, clack. Shing! Yeah. Put that in your audio commentary.
When you do the promo for this podcast, please just do what you just did. Frank and Gerald.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say the only time I've ever seen a typewriter at a con, and because of course it was Matt Kint, and he was doing like very short, you could commission poetry from him and he would type it right there and then pull it out, do a quick little like very quick sketch, sign it, and then you had that thing. And I love personalized stuff like that. To your point, Gerald, because it's a one of one. Like it's only made for that person. And then suddenly I have that connection with the artist of like, hey, I have this obscure character that I just really want to see you do. And like, okay, cool. And so then you get to make that. And if you don't know the character, then maybe you get to discover a fun character. Like, have you ever been asked to do a commission or now sketch cards of characters that you're like, who the hell is that?
Who, me?
Yeah. Well, Frank with all his sketch cards too. Yeah.
No, and I probably wouldn't do it on a sketch card. I think when you're working that small, I think if you can make something cool, but if you do something iconic, it's easier. It's recognizable. You can have a few more liberties. When you're working a little bigger, even 6x9 or 5x7 or whatever, and larger, you have more space to kind of flesh out that character a little bit. Like, for me, it would be hard if someone said, okay, I've got this character, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, yeah, let me work on this. I feel like the trading cards or sketch cards should be like very visceral, very like off the cuff. But when you have an iconic inspiration, I didn't know what I was going to draw for these sketch cards. The last one I just did was Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
And I've never drawn Nightcrawler in my life, but of course I know who he is. We all know who he is.
Yeah.
You can take certain liberties, certain things that you remember, like panels, covers, storylines that you loved about the character, and just kind of have a moment to play with it. If you have to do that with someone else's, if it was like a book I was on, and then on top of that, they wanted me to do some sketch cards, now that's a different story. Like if I was at a con and someone had to sit down and give me their synopsis, I'd be like, yes, that's
knowing Gerald, that's like his worst nightmare. Being at a con and having some like 8-year-old kid explaining to him, I have a guy called Fast Man, and
why did you say 8? Oh my god, kids are awesome. If it was an 8-year-old, then I would say
38.
Oh yeah, fuck off.
I'm so glad I'm not 38 anymore. Awesome.
Yeah.
So logistically, and I'm going to cheat here. You've got 150 backers. You've got 15 days to go. So Monday, November 24th at 11:59 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, is when the campaign ends. But why wait until the 24th of November? You're gonna forget. Do it right now. It's what is that? 67% funded. Almost 66.98% funded.
Are you doing that math in your head?
Listen, no. Well, yes, but also you have very easy numbers. So your goal is almost 10,000. So if you're at $698, that's 66.
Chris, you should have just played.
No, you should never reveal the magic behind the show.
That's my problem. Is I always reveal the magic, but I'm a chronic oversharer. Like it's who I am. But also, yes, I do math quickly in my head. Thanks, Pepe. He was an engineer, and I got his math brain. So, but yeah, so like plenty of things to add on, plenty of awesome reward tiers, no matter what type of comic format reader preferer you are. There's something for you in this, and I love that neither one of you can clearly define the genre of the story. Like that's when I'm excited to read something, is like there's a lot in it. Take out of it what you will, and that means it's almost like a choose your own adventure. Like, oh, this was a sci-fi book, or oh no, this was a love story. Like, oh, it was isolation and depression and dealing with being solo. So I love that there's so many different avenues as the reader that this could end up going for me. So thank you for putting all of the time and work into making this. I'm really excited. I love that you're doing something fresh and different. Like I'm constantly telling my wife anytime we go out and I'm, at a convention or at a used bookstore or whatever, like if it looks different or if it's something that I haven't seen before, I'm automatically more apt to spend money on it and buy it or support it or whatever, because I just want different things. That's
funny you say that, because yesterday, last 2 days I've been working on an idea, as we do, and I give it to Frank, and I'm 100% not offended if Frank said this. Frank's like, visually stunning. I've seen it all before, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, because we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We're gonna tap into things that have been done. You can't escape it. But we're trying to find always, well, how do we put our stamp on it? Like Tarantino. The guy has made a career on homages.
Yep. But
a Tarantino film when you see it. And I think that, we're not trying to like reinvent the wheel, but make our own wheel, like how do we take the things that we love or we're inspired by, but we make it third contact thing. So no, that was good feedback by Frank. Like, how do we make this different? So I'll be thinking about that on the airplane.
Perfect. Which you board in like 6 minutes, right? Like you're just basically walking in the air.
He's in the Delta Lounge right now.
Yeah. I can see
10
the
hours.
3 pretzels behind you. That's brutal. But good on you for doing everything that you're doing. I don't understand how you do it. I've got just like 3 more things here. One easy question, kind of like the dating game. Of the 2 of you, who is more likely to survive an entire lifetime living in isolation on the dark side of the moon?
Oh me.
No, I am.
What? Frank is surrounded by sentient beings 24/7.
Exactly. I need a vacation.
You think so? I live in isolation.
I'm gonna
I'm
run away
freaked out
from
by
these people that I live with. My daughter's screaming at me all the time.
And then he would go there. He'd be there for 5 minutes going.
No, I finally got time to write.
Finally catch up on all that reading.
Oh, that'd be nice.
The other fun thing that I was like doing is I gotta take a screenshot. We're gonna pose, and I'm gonna use this as the thumbnail to live on forever here on YouTube because it makes my life easier. So let me get my keyboard shortcut, and then we'll figure out.
Can I use props?
Of course you
Can I
can.
use props?
Yeah.
All right. I got a prop.
Perfect. Well, shit. If you guys have a prop, I'll hang my anniversary gift of a steel icicle here. All right, we'll go 3, 2, 1. Perfect. I just took like 17. The last thing is I love doing this show because I get to talk to people that are from all different walks of life and have all different experiences, but yet we all have this similarity of loving comics as a medium. And to lean into the differences that we all have, I like always ending my episodes with just turning over the stage to my creators that are on here with me. So if there's anything you want people to hear that's an authentic message in your voice, it could be a sales pitch for love and death. It could be why the other person would never survive isolated on the dark side of the moon. I don't care about the content. I just want the 2 of you to have some space just to share whatever it is that you want people to hear from you. So I'll let you rock, paper, scissors to figure out who goes first.
I'll go first.
Perfect.
My message to people would be, I think there's so many people that read comics and complain about things that they would do different, or if they had a story in their head, they always wanted to do it. My suggestion is to do it. Don't wait. Like if you think you can make a better story, if you think you can make a comic, or you have any desire to, there's no reason not to do it. I mean, you're going to feel so much better once you write it, get art done, print that book, and hold it in your hands. Even if it's just a one-time thing, it's a real accomplishment because this is hard. It really is. You don't realize how hard it is to give it a shot. So get off the sidelines.
I like it. Gerald?
It's interesting Frank went in that direction. I don't know. I was like,
Frank, why are you being so optimistic and supportive?
To grow on.
It's weird.
Why not just stick with Frank's theme? I think it's true. You know, if you're an artist, or you don't think, no, see, fuck that. I don't call myself an artist. Frank always calls me that, but I don't call me that. I make comic books. That's what I do, and it is always with a team. And most of the time, yes, I draw them. I have my hands in little parts or give my feedback, but I make comics, and I think that I love to make art. It's my number one passion. And I see a lot of people trying to take the easy way out, and I get it. I really do. I really get it. I feel like because you think comics are going to be like, oh, if I make comics, I'm going to go da, da, da. And then I'll be walking down the red carpet on my fucking Netflix show. And I'll say, if that's really what you're already there and you haven't even done anything, you probably should go do something else. Because this is a labor of love and madness. And if you don't think comics will drive you insane and push you to the edge, you're just crazy. Because in varying degrees, It is life, and it is stressful, and you have to learn how to work with a team. You have to learn how to check your ego. You have to find ways to fund it. You have to find ways to get it out into a public. You have to want to be part of a community. You have to want to be in the lives of others. There are so many moving parts, not just to your own book, but just being in this field. And there are dark days ahead, and there are lonely days ahead. No, I mean, come on, let's get fucking real, man.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
There are dark days ahead. It's not like comics are like riding a goddamn fucking rainbow on a leprechaun's shoulders, like eating chocolate. With sharks with laser beams on their freaking foreheads, and even those comics, I mean, we're all temperamental in our own way, and you just and I think you just got to find your people, find your tribe, and stop taking the easy shortcuts out. If you draw stick figures, then make it the best goddamn stick figure ever. If you can't only afford to go to do they still have Kinko's? Does that exist?
It's a FedEx Kinko's now, I think.
Yeah. Go Xerox it. You know what I mean? Like, draw one comic if you can't afford to make copies, and hand them out at cons. Like, there's just, the sky's the limit for being creative. Like, if you're in it you'll find a way. And if you're in it for like IP farming, fuck off, because it's heartbreaking. It's going to be heartbreaking. And there are people, who back books and get burned. And there are people that, really support this culture, who aren't the creative types. They're the collective, like they support us, and we're more apt to support passion over what we think is perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my statement. And go back Love and Death and the Dark Side of the Moon, because it's the best goddamn thing you're going to read all year.
And it's linked in the description below. So you don't even have to remember the title. You can just tap expand details and then tap the Kickstarter link, and bam, you're at the campaign. It's so easy. Look at me taking care of you.
Dad.
I need to release just the shorts of just me doing the shing.
Print it.
This was great. I had such a good time talking to the two of you. I'm so glad that this worked out, that we were able to have both of you. Frank, unfortunately, when Gerald filled this out, he didn't give me any of your information. So I'm going to need your links and stuff so that people can find you too. And not just Gerald, but this was great. I've got the Kickstarter link below, so do that. Make art, make comics, even if it's bad. It's better than fake. So make something real, and go do what's good for you, punks, and read some indie comics like Love and Death on the Dark Side of the Moon, because we collectively are out of here.